There's my arrow. He snapped it off, which means I got $40 broadhead stuff in there somewhere. Here. My arrow. See, that's what I was concerned about. See that? It's not a pass-through.
All right, don't go anywhere. Watch and see if I can make the recovery on this buck. Yeah, I just found my arrow and it was broke off. Wasn't a complete pass-through. So stay tuned. Okay, this is early in the morning. It's about 7:30. Temperature's in the 20s. Got a strong breeze. And this young buck comes through at the bottom of the screen. You can barely see him going through the trees. But this is the second week of November. And with the deer moving, especially after shooting that 9-point buck yesterday, I couldn't wait to see how the rest of the morning unfolded. The day before this hunt, I shot that 9-point buck. I don't know if you watched that video or not. So I moved my stand to the opposite side of the ridge. Hunting in the same general area, but probably 150 yards difference in where I was at the day before. Conditions are really cold that morning. It was probably in the 20s. You could tell my face was red that morning. So the conditions were really good, and I knew the bucks were moving. I actually saw a young buck that morning about 7:30. Got a little bit of video of him. Saw 2 does. And then saw this really nice buck twice. Messed up. Okay, here we go. This nice 8-point buck came in, and you can see the size of his body and rack. I know the video is not that great, but he came in at 8 o'clock, so about 30 minutes after I had seen the younger buck, and this deer was actually following a doe. And I decided to use the same strategy I had used the day before when I shot a nice 9-point buck, and I grunted at him. This deer, however, was not as aggressive as the deer the day before. He was more passive. He did a 180-degree turn and walked out. I pretty much thought I'd blown it, but little did I know he'd come back.
Guys, I think I got a buck down there, and I don't know if I got it all on video or not. It's just been a tough year for me to get video here. Good night. What a morning. I'm sure I got snot running down my face. But got in here, 7:30, small buck comes through, small 8-pointer. And he was leaving. 30 minutes later, doe comes through, and I followed her all the way around. She went all the way down, up this ridge. I didn't see anything behind her, and then I looked up. Here comes a nice big buck. And I took my grunt call out and grunted because I wanted to get him closer to me. He was going to have nothing to do with it. Turned around and walked off. I was like, man, I blew that one. Hour later, exactly an hour later, another doe comes through. Turn around, look, and there he is. So I didn't grunt at him. I just let him follow the trail. I ranged where the doe was at. It was 30 yards. I got ready. He came through there, was walking. I grunted with my mouth and made a shot. So I hope he's down there. I'm going to give him 30 minutes. And it's flat cold this morning. Nice heavy frost this morning. Got a breeze. I know my face is red. But what an awesome morning. No, I didn't get the shot on video. That's twice this year. Had a great season in my home state. Got 2 bucks, and that's the limit, so I tagged out. But when I shot the 9-point, I left my camera arm about 35 feet up in the tree, and I came in the next morning, and I was processing that deer, so I was busy all that afternoon. Came in the next morning, didn't want to miss a hunt. I said, well, I'll just throw my tree stand on the opposite side of the ridge in this tree here. A nice buck came through, and all I've got's the after shot. Okay, this is the tree I was in, and I was all the way up there to that limb. You can barely see it on the other side. That's where I had my GoPro. The GoPro battery died, and I had the camera pointed exactly right at that buck. And when I turned back around to talk after I shot him. The camera was dead. So I don't know if the cold might have zapped my camera. But I did get some footage of the buck coming in with my 4K camera. I didn't have my camera arm on this tree. This morning I decided to make a change and hunt over here. I shot that other buck on the other side of the ridge. And usually when that happens, from my experience, it kind of messes the area up. So I said, hey, I'm gonna come over here. So I did. And what happened was, as I mentioned earlier, I had a doe come through here. No, I had a small 8-point come in about 7:30 this morning. And it's a super cold morning. I don't know what the temperatures were, but it was a heavy frost. I don't know if it's upper 20s or low 30s. I grunted at him, but he was too small. I wouldn't have shot him. But he eased on out. And about 30 minutes later, a doe came through. And I had already ranged with the trail she was on. It was about 30, 31 yards. And she went all the way up this ridge over here. See this ridge back behind me. Didn't see anything, and then here comes a buck. And I made what I call a novice mistake. If the buck is working a trail coming to you, don't grunt at it. Just let him do his thing. I grunted at him because I wanted to pull him in closer. He was having none of it. Turned around and walked off. I was like, man, I blew that. Exactly an hour later, another doe came through. I ranged her again, 30, 31 yards. Walked back up the same ridge, turn around, look, and there's the same buck. I didn't do anything but grab this camera, get some video of him while he's coming in. I put the camera down, turned my GoPro on, picked up my bow, and by that time I was pushing it. He walked out and was still walking. I had to grunt with my mouth and got him to stop and made the shot. It was not a pass through like yesterday. The arrow was sticking out, but I'm about 99% sure that he fell down there. And it's been 30 minutes, so we're gonna ease down there so we can find him. It was 31 yards. I shot, and that's pretty much the end of my range. And I was a little concerned that I didn't get him past it. I hope he's in down here. There's my stand. You can see it right there. And I was all the way up about 30 feet. So I believe this is where he was standing when I shot him, right here. And then he ran down that bench. I still don't see him. Looks like he went right through there. He should have been laying down there somewhere. Is that him right there? Wait a minute, hold up. It might be him right there. Is that him right there? I hope that's him. On a rock. I'm just gonna take my time. Up these. I still don't see any blood. That's it. It's his track right there. There's something down there. Uh-oh. There we go. There's blood right there. And we're about 20 yards from where I shot him. You can barely see my tree stand right up there. Got leaves here. He stumbled right here. Stumbled some more. There's more. There's my arrow. He snapped it off, which means I got $40 broadhead stuck in there somewhere. Here. Arrow. See, that's what I was concerned about. See that? It's not a pass-through. I gotta get the digger broadhead out. It came down crashing through here. Crashing. The one under that or over there. Crashing. Oh, that's a good looking deer trail. Look at that. Crash. Over there. I tell you, this ain't seeing much blood. Okay, here we go. Some more right there. Not seeing much blood, but he's sliding. So there's some more there. That must have broke his shoulder. Come down through here. There's a little bit more blood there. Coming through here. There's a speck. That's not what you want to see. That's what you want to see right there. But more importantly, that's what you want to see. Look at that. I'll get my camera on. There he is. I've got to roll this guy over and see what went on with my arrow. All right, I'm gonna go down there and get him fixed up. What a hunt this morning, I'm telling you. And like I said, I don't know if I got it on video or not. The GoPro, I turned it on right before I made the shot. I haven't went back and looked at the footage. I hadn't even got him out of the woods yet. But for this area, this is a super nice buck. I mean, you take a buck like this every year. Super nice 8-point, long beams, long tines. He's been doing some rubbing too. Good sized body on this deer. He came in twice. He came in at 8 o'clock and a doe was coming through, and here's the lessons learned for me. She was following the trail all the way out. Well, I should have realized the buck was going to do the same thing. He was going to follow her. Wherever she went, he was going to follow her. So I decided to help him out a little bit, and I grunted. He wanted no part of it. He just turned around, walked off, and left. It's like, well, I blew that one. And then an hour later, another doe came through, following the same trail, and I put my rangefinder back on at 31 yards, just right at the max limit. And she went on up the ridge. I turned to look, and there he was. So I picked up the 4K camera and I started videoing him because I didn't have my tree on. Yeah. And I videoed him coming in as close as as far as I could. I put it down, turned on the GoPro, grabbed my bow, and by that time he was getting out of the window. And I drew, got the full draw, grunted at him, and made the shot. And I was a little concerned because the arrow, you can see it right here, didn't go all the way in him. So there's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches of the arrow inside the chest cavity, but obviously it hit the heart because he only went about 50 yards. I saw him fall. So once I field dress him here in a minute, I'm going to look for my arrow. I think it's lodged in the opposite shoulder. I shot him on his left side, and I could tell there's blood on this right side that his shoulder was injured. So it turned out to be a great hunt. I mean, it was cold this morning, heavy frost. Temperatures are upper 20s, maybe lower 30s. There was a breeze. It was kind of cold. So I knew they'd still be moving. I shot that 9-point yesterday. Shot him at 7 yards though,
and I was able to watch him fall. So as I mentioned before, I'm really critical on my shots, and if I mess up, I admit it. Fortunately, on these 2 shots, I was able to make a lethal hit. And this is November 13th, so it's just a tremendous hunt. I've never done this with my bow before, and it's awesome to be able to take 2 bucks in 1 year. I've taken 1 before, but never taken 2. So this is a great hunt. Still using the old Matthews SQ2. Hey, define dead. How dead is dead? It still kills them dead. Using my Summit Viper stand, I've been using that thing now for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. I actually have 2 of them. But just an awesome hunt. It's a great hunt. It was one of those hunts where you're thinking, I'm going to get a second chance at this guy. So when he came back in the second time, I didn't grunt or do anything with my grunt call. Like I said, I videoed him coming in since I didn't have my tree arm. Just put my camera down in my seat, turned on the GoPro, full draw, grunted with my mouth. Only grunted with my mouth one time, and that was to stop him because he's walking. And he looked right at me. And I was surprised that he didn't try to duck the arrow. I'll have to look, if I got video, I'll have to look at the video and see, but shot. And he came down here, I want to say 50, probably about 60 yards, and just piled up right here. And I'm going to say this deer, for this area, this is probably 190, maybe 200 pound deer, I don't know. We're going to put him on the scale and find out. So don't forget to like and subscribe on this video. It's a great time to be in the woods. When the deer are moving, get off the couch and get in the woods. I can't stress it enough. If you see a lot of movements, I've said it before, checking the rut pulse. All you got to do is spend a few hours in the afternoon if you start seeing bucks moving around. And what keyed me in this year was the fact that there were a bunch of does hit on the highway. And when does start moving around a lot, their activity level picks up when they start coming into estrus. That's like, that seems to be a little early. And it actually is a little early. This is about a week before typically we see them in my area start moving. So once I saw them moving, I was like, I got to get in the woods. It turned out really good. So get out there, get your bow. You've done all your scouting, just get in the woods. Just take some time. And eventually you'll get something to come through. So I'm going to get him filled. I'm actually going to field dress him up here. That deer yesterday I didn't field dress. It's cold enough. I'm going to hang him up in my barn, let the meat age a little bit, and then I'm going to, I'll skin him out. But I'm going to cape him. I will probably, this is my best North Carolina deer. I'll probably put this one on the wall.
Okay, I did take that buck back to my barn, and I hung him up on my scale, and his live weight was 212 pounds. So that's the biggest buck I have ever shot in my home state. It's also the highest scoring buck. It's my first Pope and Young buck. But super nice deer. And, I had field dressed him, so I did the 1/3 rule, where you get back a third of the body weight after field dressing. So that 212 pounds is approximate. That's still the biggest deer I've shot. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.